Hey fellow tankers, it's Mobius Y here with some games that I wanted to share that I had in my IS-6. Now each and every single one of these games I'm playing with some buddies. We're just playing in some Tier 8 preferential matchmaking premium tank platoons. So these were 5 games that I really wanted to share, but I was not able to put them in the IS-6 tank talk that I released not too long ago because, well, the video was already a frickin' hour long. I mean, that's almost too long as is, so I didn't want to add to it and make it an hour and a half long video or something along those lines. So this first game here, I'm platooned with Joe the Frogman, Naughty Coin, and Diet Dr. Pepper. And right now we're just waiting in the matchmaking queue. Now, every single one of these games, if I remember correctly, every single one of these games is a win, as well as I managed to do a very significant amount of damage. And you can just see some of the quirky things that I have done or you yourself can do to put yourself in really strong positions to abuse the strengths of the IS-6, or just get yourself out of crappy situations and come out on top if you're outnumbered and or surrounded or what have you here. So our first game is here on Mines, and it's an encounter battle. Excuse me. Now with Mines, with the flag being in the town in the D8, E9 kind of area, a lot of people seem to think that that is where the main action should be, but that's really not the case on Mines. Mines has always been a get to the middle of the map kind of thing. It's always a control the center kind of thing. You want to get the hill in the middle of the map there in the E6 area. If you get multiple quick tanks there, especially some of your mediums, if they get there early enough and you gain control of that hill by ousting the mediums from the other team that try to rush that same hill, you can really control this map.
Let's go!
So, myself, Pepper, Naughty Coin, and Joe, we decide we're going to head up in that direction of the map here to back up any of our fast scouts or mediums that are going up that way. But we don't have any mediums on our team, so it doesn't really matter there. But we decide we're going to head up that way anyways. Now, because this tank has preferential matchmaking, we did manage to get a Tier 8 game, which is fairly common. You're never bottom tier in a preferential matchmaking premium tank, supposedly, but if you ask me, in a preferential matchmaking tank, if you wind up in, say, a Tier 9 game with a Tier 8 premium with preferential, that's still kind of sort of bottom tier, but you can definitely still make a tank like an IS-6 or an FCM 50-ton or even a Mutant 6 here like Naughty Coin's playing. You can still definitely make them work, even in a Tier 9 game. So, earlier you saw me ammo rack that T69. He got taken out quite quickly. An on-the-move shot hits the IS-3 in the tracks. And seeing this KV-4, even though he's really far away from me, he's completely broadside, so I want to try and take off some HP. So I hit him for 434 damage there, knocking him down to a one-shot. So trying to aim in and just take him out of the game, but it doesn't look like that one goes through. Now there was a shot fired at me from the KV-4, but not from the KV-4 itself. So clearly there was a second tank back there, so I started backing off, not sure exactly what it is over there that's shooting at me. And also because the KV-4 repositioned himself so that I don't have a very good chance of penetrating him anymore, let alone even hitting him with the amazing accuracy of this amazing sniper gun on the IS-6. So I'm just kind of playing the middle right now, being a presence, making sure that our 2 scouts up here at the top, in place of the lack of mediums that we have, making sure that they're protected and they're not getting rushed by other people on the other team. And that's essentially what my 2 platoon mates are also doing behind me. Just getting shots where possible at the bush wookies still hanging out near the back of the map there. Seeing a Ferdinand, I'm just looking for a place where I can pen him. Doesn't really look like I have a good opportunity to. And that's when I saw the IS-3 was looking at me, and since he ammo racked me, I used my large repair kit right away. I don't want to be ammo racked in this thing. So that's when I backed off, as now I can tell that the IS-3 is in fact fully upgraded and has that nasty BL9 gun. So I don't really want to mess around with that by myself, especially when I have to peek out broadside and just really expose myself to get the gun depression down. So I load up some APCR, trying to aim for some vulnerable points on the Ferdinand. I wait for him to flatten himself out to me so that his armor is a lot less angled, and I'm able to put one through the lower parts of his tank. And that's when his friend in another Ferdinand rolls up, and I see he's broadside, so I try a shot into him, but it misses quite badly, which is prone to happen. So I have one more APCR round. I figure I might as well try and get it on this Ferdinand, but I just can't get the gun depression to shoot where I want, so I say screw it, gonna shoot him right through the front, and I managed to take him out of the game. I was surprised about that shot, but I figured, you know what, I might have just high rolled on the pen and hit him in a really flat piece of armor, which essentially I did. So seeing the Ferdinand, looking over here, I really want to take out that AT-15 so that our team can move out of the town and start pushing on them. So I tried an auto-lock quick shot on that Ferdinand, but naturally the shot completely missed. So this is when I decide I'm going to put the house between me and the Ferdinand so he can't shoot me. I'm going to peek out way farther than I'm content with, try and get a shot on the AT-15 before falling down. And by dragging myself down from the cliff, I did damage myself, but I'm not too worried about it. I figure, screw it, we should have this game in the bag. I just want to get some extra damage in before our team taps out. So just waiting for the AT-15 to duff a shot on me. I know the Ferdinand's reloading right now, but before I can get a shot on the AT-15, he gets taken out by Naughty Coin and the other friendly heavy tank over there. So Dr. Pepper starts trying to face hug this Ferdinand, trying to get past him. Gets a nice tracking shot into him, allowing me and Pepper to get beside him and put a shot into his side, and then Pepper gets one shot into his rear and finishes him off. So turning around, we know that the AT-15 is on the other side of the map by the Lighthouse, because he was spotted not too long ago. So Naughty Coin's already on his way, going to try and get an initial spot for us, as well as the friendly TD that is closing in on the position right now. So this was a pretty interesting game. I played it very unconventionally for a game on mines, in particular an encounter battle. Normally you can expect me to go to the flag and start brawling it out with the other heavies, but seeing as we had no medium tanks, I said screw it, we should go to the middle and stop them from taking that hill altogether, which could have wound up being a completely different scenario if the other team was able to get, say, their T-69 as well as their scout tanks up there. Just under 3,000 XP, 46,000 silver, 2,010 damage dealt, winding up 5th on my team. Our whole platoon did quite well. Joe, 1,600 damage, Naughty Coin and Dr. Pepper are both getting over 3,000 damage each as well. And you can see shots fired, 11, only 7 hits though, and that's what the IS-6 can do to you. If you recall with the Tank Talk video I made not too long ago, 0.46 accuracy and a 3.4 aim time. If those are the correct values, I believe they are. They can really hinder your abilities for long or even mid-range combat with the IS-6. So this next game here, I'm platooned with Joe the Frogman, Naughty Coin, and United Combat for a standard battle on Highway. Again, we're still playing Tier 8 premiums with preferential matchmaking. And this is what I strongly suggested you do with the IS-6. You know, you're playing it on your own. Yeah, it can be fun. You can definitely be successful on your own if you have a pretty good grasp of what you're doing. But it's a lot more fun to play in platoons for sure. And you can really bank some silver, and most of the time there's at least 1 or 2 people on my friends list, so it probably is on your friends list as well, that are just always hurting for silver within every few days they buy a new tank or two, and they start going, oh man, I really need silver, so they want to start playing some premium tanks. And preferential premiums, tier 8 premiums altogether, with preferential matchmaking or not, are really good silver earners if you can perform well in them. So it's really fun to just jump into a friend's party, ask them what they're doing, and then, what did you want to do tonight? And they go, well, I could really use some silver, so I wouldn't mind playing some premiums. Well, you want to play tier 8? Because I got my IS-6. And then you can just roll out in your IS-6 and have a good time. Smash the red team's faces in and rake in lots of silver yourself while your buddy is also swimming in some much-needed silver. And you can, even if you just do this for a couple hours, if you don't have, half the day on a weekend, even if you just do this for a couple hours on a weeknight, you can still get a good amount of silver. Anywhere between, honestly, the 500,000 to 2 million silver in one evening, in just a few hours of play. So, knowing that there's lots of tier 9 TDs on the other team, I came into town here. Figured I'm going to have to start brawling at some point. So we see 3 of the enemies over there. There's a Tiger, a T-20, and another heavy on my right. But that's when I see the Tiger 2 and the VK-4502 Alpha. So I just back off a little bit. I don't need to deal with both the Tiger 2 and the VK at the same time. They both have good guns that are very capable of easily damaging me. Managed a lucky bounce from the Tiger 2, but unfortunately my shot bounced as well, as it went off to the side and hit the side of his turret. United Combat comes to try and take a shot, and I also take a shot at the VK-45 Alpha, which bounces right off his front plate. It wasn't a well-aimed shot. So seeing the T-20 pulling up, I decide I'm going to shoot the T-20 now. He's much more exposed, but my shot totally duffs and hits the Tiger 2. It's my own fault. I was aiming at his side skirt. So I'm just getting bullied here by multiple tanks. So I know I need to back off and just kind of do what I can, try and single these guys out one at a time. Tiger 2 gets another hit on me right after I ammo rack the VK-45 Alpha. So I know the VK-45 Alpha is going to be a little hesitant to peek out on me nowadays, especially if he didn't have a repair kit to fix his ammo rack. Both me and United miss our shots on the VK. So I try one more time, knocking him down to one shot. There's a pretty nice hit on the VK-45 Alpha. And I decided I'm just going to wait, see if he tries peeking out again. Or we can rush the Tiger 2. United Combat says, let's rush the Tiger 2. So we go in. Naughty Coin takes out the T-20 for us. And he and United start trying to manhandle the Tiger 2. I was going to aim and try and finish off that VK, but the friendly Centurion takes him out. So United puts a shot into the side of the Tiger 2, and with the Tiger 2's turret not looking at me whatsoever, I put a shot into the turret side of the Tiger 2 and finish him off. So pulling in here, there's 2 Tigers left. I just auto-lock a shot and finish off a really weak Tiger 1. And United decides to start face-hugging the other Tiger, and that's when I park right behind him so that he can't escape either. So me, United in the IS-6, and a friendly M46 Patton and a friendly Centurion 7-1, just manhandling this poor Tiger, giving him 0 chance of escape and survival whatsoever. So a bit of a traffic jam here with all the dead bodies in all these buildings. I had a bit of a difficulty getting out there initially, but I'm finally able to break loose. And looking at the map, we see there's still a couple bush Wookiees way in the back of the map by their base still. So me and United decide to start heading that way through the town. And looking over, I see it's the T-95, and I decide right away I really don't want to deal with that frontally. So I figure I'm going to go to my left here just a little bit, see if I can pinpoint exactly where that T-95 is. Wait for artillery to start aiming in on him, or zoning in on him, and putting shots on him. Or for these BBs to start flanking. So I pull forward, I figure I'm going to try and get these guys' attention. There's also an Object 704. They know I'm here now for sure, so I load up some APCR for this T-95. See he's aiming at me, so I try a really wild shot on the Object 704, which missed quite profusely. So side scraping here in the corner. I don't know if that T95 is fully upgraded or not, but if he is, he can easily pen the angled plating while I'm side scraping the ones over my side skirts. So I wait for him and the Object 704 to fire, and then I poke out, fire an APCR around the Object 704's front plate, and a friendly tank is able to finish him off. Bit of a lucky streak for me there. So at this point, we saw that there was a heavy tank back towards our base, so I immediately turned around and started heading in that direction to deal with the threat. And trying to just maintain top speed as best as possible by turning my hull in the direction I need to go and not doing much else other than that. But we didn't get very far back towards our base when we noticed that the friendly heavy tank had been destroyed. So that leaves artillery plus a pair of Tier 9 T-30 United States turreted tank destroyers. One of them gets taken out by a friendly Object 704. Artillery gets spotted. He gets taken out. So I'm just going to try and climb this really steep hill. Hills are the bane of an IS-6, as the IS-6 doesn't have a great power to weight ratio, and hills will absolutely kill the IS-6's speed abilities. The IS-6 can go at a decent speed on flat ground. It can kick up to 35, almost as close as 40. But because of the power to weight ratio not being so great, it cannot hill climb very well. So we see where the last T-30 is, so we just start heading back towards it. Excuse me. Hoping that our friendly TD in the back there might be able to take him out, but United Combat gets a wicked sniping shot from his IS-6 onto that enemy T-30 and is able to take him out of the game. So I took a lot of damage that game as well. I didn't think I did this much damage. I thought I did way less damaging shots, but I managed much more than I thought. About 8 damaging hits for 23-32 damage. And the magical sniper medal, which I seem to get here and there in my IS-6. 99,000 silver. Just under 3,000 XP as well. And a really good game all around by many on our team. Centurion 7-1, 2,600 damage. Marine Artillery, 2,400 damage. So on and so forth. So, even against a pair of tanks that were essentially better equipped than me, their guns were much higher pen values on those guns for the VK-45 Alpha and the Tiger II. And a T-20 coming to help, even technically being outnumbered with United Combat there to try to help out as best as he can. Both of us, we were still outnumbered, but we were able to kick around long enough to keep the VK and the Tiger II sufficiently distracted for our mediums to swoop in and dish out some major damage on their rears. So this third game here, I'm platooned with Fiddler's Green, Lele, and Casual Pie. Fiddler in his Liberty FCM 50-ton copy tank, I suppose, special premium. Lele in a regular FCM 50-ton, and Casual Pie in the Mutant 6. Just doing a standard battle on Westfield. Not really a wonderful map for an IS-6, in my opinion. Especially with artillery on this map, because most of the really good spots where you can get the gun depression to shoot on the far side of this ridgeline here, where a lot of the heavy action begins early in the game, the spots that you have to get to manage that gun depression are very, very vulnerable to artillery. So I decided against going to town, as I often do in the very beginning stages of the game. But it is Lakeville, so I figured, you know what the hell, maybe I can just surprise myself and do a good amount of damage. So I figure I'll just pull forward, see the best I can do here. And that's when I see a Hellcat completely exposed, so I start aiming in and just manage to thread a needle and hit him pretty much in the gun mantlet for 380 damage. So he starts aiming back at me, thinking that he's going to get some retribution for that, but I just tell him no. So pulling forward, you can see that I am managing my gun depression. I can get it low enough to, I can get it low enough to shoot just on the other side of this ridge here. Putting a nice shot on that A44. Now pulling forward one more time to destroy the A44. So that's 2 tanks where I've nailed 2 shots and finished off. So I'm sitting at already 1,000 plus damage, which isn't very difficult in a tank like the IS-6. Fury. Side armor exposed to me, so I put a finishing shot into his side armor and take him out of the game for about 370 damage. And that's when I decide I want to start shooting this KV-4. But the IS-3 interrupts my train of thought, and I put a shot into the side of the IS-3, unfortunately only tracking him. IS-3 aims back at me for a second there, trying to pull back. But I managed to put one more side shot on the IS-3 before he completely escapes, and that's when Speedy's able to zip in there with the FCM 50-ton, get a shot on him. I drop the IS-3 to 1 shot and mark him for the teammates to finish him off. Nice and quick here. Fiddler and Liberté takes out the IS-3. I put a shot into the turret side of the KV-4 while his turret is turned away from me, thus ammo racking him. And my teammates are able to just start mopping up while I put one more shot into the KV-4's turret side. So with that done, it's time to move forward. There's still 3 mediums somewhere that we have not really detected, aside from the 2 on the far side of the map, getting closer to our base. So we decide we're going to zip forward, finish off this artillery and this 3rd medium way at the back of the map, and then we'll turn around and help with these last 2 mediums that are back near our base. I tell Fiddler and Lele to move on ahead without me on the offensive against the artillery, seeing as how they're a lot faster than me, and that's when I turn around to start moving back towards our base to intercept these last 2 red medium tanks. They're currently doing a 2-on-1 against one of our mediums, having just taken out the second to last medium that was over there, and the T-69 managed to clip both of them out. So it's not quite up to me, so to speak, but I know that I need to at least slow them down in time for friendly tanks to get within shooting range of these guys. So I tell myself, if they get on the cap, I'm going to have to charge in there, get right in their faces, and start putting shots into them. If they don't, I'm just going to have to try aiming in and hit and doing the best I can to hit them with long-range shots in the IS-6. So I see they're right up against these buildings. They did not continue further, as I guess they saw the heavy up top. So I thought about pushing forward. T-69 is backing off. Almost looks like he's reloading. His friend in the T-34-3, I believe, gets taken out. And that's when we rush the T-69, forcing him out of his hiding spot. And I'm able to get one more side shot into the tracks area of that T-69. Needless to say, he gets destroyed rather quickly after exposing himself. So a pretty quick game, only about 6 minutes, not even. Somehow managing over 3,500 damage with another sniper medal in the IS-6 and over 5,500 damage, just under 130,000 silver. And that's the whole purpose of playing a premium tank, is to just bank in some extra silver. And in a good game like that, you're guaranteed to rake in quite a significant amount of cash. Really good game for Lele, over 3,700 damage in the FCM 50-ton. So also a really good game for him. And just a great all-around game for our platoon that game, as we coordinated quite well. And basically we're just able to work together, just the 3 of us. Able to work together and make a significant difference. So this game on Pacific Island, once again I'm with Fiddler's Green, Lele, and Casual Pie. This is just a standard battle on Pacific Island. So, regardless of which side I spawn on, I figure I'm going to go down to the H2 sector, that area over there. And when we loaded into the game, I was a little disheartened by noticing that there is artillery, because the area that I want to go is quite vulnerable to artillery. I pinged exactly where I was going to the rest of my platoon, so that they knew what was going on. And I let them know that, hey, there's a good chance I'll need some support here, especially if they have a crap load of tanks rush that way. Excuse me. So just cruising along here, this terrain, while kind of crappy for something like an IS-6 because it is dirt, from this spawn it's almost all downhill up until you're a little over halfway there. So you're able to pick up a decent amount of speed, and if this is the part of the map you want to get to and you want to get there quick, you need to turn there right away and just. Technically, you should be avoiding these kind of little hillocks that I'm driving over right now. Kind of want to hug the beach more to my right side and go around to the far side of those rocks so that you maintain your speed as best as possible. So with the game just unfolding, we're seeing several of their faster tanks on the opposite side of the map there. Trying to close in and get to strong positions. Really early. At least 3 mediums and a scout tank hanging out over there. So I peeked over to see, are any of them in the middle? Can I get a shot on them? And responded with a resounding no. So seeing the JT-88 over there, I figured he's got to have a friend. He can't be alone. So I figure I'm going to push up even more. Try and encourage my team to attack with me on this JT-88 and this T-34. Figuring if there's enough of us, we can take them out pretty quickly. So JT-88 manages to pen one on me, and I bounce a shot off his lower plate. Knowing that a JT-88 is a little tricky for me to pen from the front, I was considering loading APCR, but decided against it as I tried the lower plate one more time, since he was at a much flatter angle to me the second time around. Friendly's keeping the JT-88 tracked, and I managed to get the finishing shot into his lower plate one more time. So the T-34 saw that plan just go to complete crap, so he starts backing off. That's when I spot the Hellcat, and I just auto-lock and dump a shot into the Hellcat. So when I see the Hellcat backing off, that's when I move forward to put some pressure on this T-32. I could have shot that Hellcat, but I lost my chance, so I figure let's just put a shot on this T-32. Fortunately, it did go a little bit high, and just bounced the T-32 for no damage. T-32 manages a nice pen shot on me, so I try one more time to shoot him in a fairly unconventional kind of weak spot for a T-32, only damaging his optics. Really interesting shot right there on the T-32. Must have gone into the lower plate. I was a little confused because more than half of my reticle was filled up with his front drive wheel. So not 100% sure how that happened, but that's when he gets upset and he tries to rush past my side scraping to get a side shot in me, and I deny him the opportunity to do so. Backing out of the way there, staying behind the rocks a little bit for longer than I need to protect myself from artillery, as I'm honestly expecting artillery to be looking at me. And that's when the enemy T-14 and the Churchill tank is spotted. T-14 looked like he was pseudo side-scraping, but I just managed to put a round right through his turret, so it didn't really matter.
Ready to fire on target.
Enemy Churchill 1 completely broadside, so I managed a nice side shot into the Churchill and taking him out of the game as well. Now it's an instance like that where I kind of feel bad for the guys on the other team, because it looked like a KB-1S, Churchill 1, and a T-14 all platooned with a Hellcat. I mean, that's a brilliant fail platoon, bringing in some Tier 5s to a Tier 8 game. I'm not sure what people expect when they bring Sorry, it was the VK301H, my mistake. I'm not sure what people expect when they bring tanks that are a tier lower or even 2 tiers lower with their friends in a game when they're playing a higher tier tank. I just don't understand. I suppose people figure that it's going to quote unquote balance out and give them a middle tier tank so that the guy playing the higher tier tank winds up being top tier. I mean, I really don't know, but it's just a dumb thing to do, and it does a little more than probably piss off your friends if they know exactly what's going on with the matchmaking. Chances are most randoms don't really know how the matchmaking works, so they're just complaining about that rather than saying, "Hey, why can't we just match tiers?" So what can you do? Took some nasty pens from the T69 and the Louis, the Louvre, the Low, whatever you want to call it. German Tier 8 premium heavy tank. So knowing I'm one shot, I'm being a lot more cautious. I am trying to bait shots from that T69. The heck am I thinking? S. Managed to bounce one, and his second one completely misses me. I know I'm one shot for everybody left on this team, though, so I'm just playing really cautiously. Probably a little more so than I need. T44 pushes up far. I was really hoping for a miracle there where I could hit him, but my shot goes way wide. Unfortunately, and I'm unable to damage him. The Louis starts turning side onto me, so I know this is my chance. I pull forward, get a fairly unaimed shot into the side of that Louis, but quite content as he was filling out most of the reticule. So seeing that they have 3 tanks left, including artillery, I start telling our team we don't really need to be on the base, trying to get them to pull away so we can get more damage, but I mean, who cares about damage when you can cap the base and win that way? I mean, it's totally just whatever. 2759 damage dealt, 3096 XP, 93,000 silver earned, steel wall and a sniper medal. Those pesky sniper medals in IS-6s, I'm telling you, they're kind of cheesy. So both the Panzer Soufflés, one that had 600 damage, the other that had 300 damage, wound up capping the base, and they still got significantly less XP than most everybody else on the team. Excuse me. So I was kind of annoyed at that cap there. I could have, if I even got one more damaging shot in, I would have had a 3,000 damage gain in the IS-6, which would not have been half bad at all. I would have been extremely content with a game like that. But I was still pretty content with that current one, and just said, you know what, whatever, let it go, not a big deal. And we promptly moved on to the next game from there. So this last game here is on Live Oaks, and I am platooned with just Fiddler's Green and Lele this time. Two good buddies of mine that I really like to platoon with, and 2 fellow members of Total Carnage. So Fiddler is still in his Liberté, and Lele jumped into his Type 64 Tier 6 Chinese scout tank. So seeing that we are once again top tier, and it is Live Oaks, I immediately turned northbound to drive directly into the city on this map. It used to be that I would avoid the city like the plague on this map, and I would always go to the bottom right area, the railroad tracks area, especially with my mediums that have significant gun depression, such as the FB4202, the STB-1, the Comet, so on and so forth. But with a tank like the IS-6, where I have pretty decent armor and good side-scraping capabilities, and a fairly scary alpha gun with a slow reload and not so great gun depression, I've been playing the city almost exclusively in the IS-6, just getting a better feel for the city in Live Oaks and how I can play it, not just in the IS-6, but in heavy tanks or big mediums in general. How I can control the town, work with my platoon mates, work with my team to take over the town part of this map, and from there gain control of the whole map. So following this Tiger 2 and KV-1S in, Fiddler's Green ends up getting all the way to town long before any of the rest of our team, and Speedy's doing a dang good job in his Type 64, getting all these detections on the enemy forces, that are moving into town to engage us. So essentially, we do know what's coming. There's a Freedom and a Super Pershing over there, as well as a T-25-2. There were at least 2 of their heavy tanks, etc., etc., etc. We just had a really good idea what was coming our way. So I try to start side scraping here. Unfortunately, I'm blocking the KV-1S, and he winds up taking a shot because of me. That was entirely my fault. I set up to side scrape here. The Tiger 2 tries to get around me, so I simply just nose up into the wall and let him get around me. And that's when I realize this is going to go horribly if these guys stay here on my backside. I won't be able to side scrape at all. So the Freedom tries to put a shot at me, and then he turns way too broadside to me, so I put 1 shot into the side of the Freedom Super Pershing. Nice damaging hit there. He bounces another one, so I pull out and start aiming. Tried to put one into the left turret cheek, or to my right. The turret cheek to my right, but he turned his turret at the very last second and was able to deflect that shot. Bad shot on the T-25-2, very unaimed. But if it flied anywhere remotely straight, it would have nailed him and taken him out of the game. So I see the rear drive wheel sticking out on the Freedom, so I put a shot right above it for about 360, I think, 390 damage. Very, very cheap shot right there on the Freedom, forcing the Freedom to pull forward or risk taking another shot in the backside. So I have this T-25-2 plus these 3 Tier 8 tank destroyers. Sorry. 2 Tier 8 tank destroyers, if I remember right, directly in front of me here. Or, not tank destroyers, mediums. One of them was a Super Pershing. There is also an ARL-44, but I'm not too worried about him, as all he's been doing is just blowing my tracks off. And I managed to bounce a shell off the ARL-44. Managing to shoot him directly in the gun mantlet, threading that needle there. So, I wait for him to bounce one more off of me, then I just pull out, put 1 shot into his side, take off half of his HP. So this is when I realized the Freedom pulled that far forward across the roadway to try and yellow me and get shots into my side. So I simply turned my hull and my gun, said to myself, "Not today, Freedom," and turned to face my new opponents that were threatening me. Freedom is backed up by another Super Pershing. So I figure I can't quite move just yet with this ARL and this other TD possibly looking this way, so I wait. I'm simply waiting. And that's when the Panzer Soufflé pulls way too far forward, but I was unable to capitalize on it as I just wasn't thinking straight at the time, I suppose. Panzer Soufflé puts another shot into my tracks. Now, if you haven't noticed, my tracks have been blown off quite a bit this game. That is prone to happen in an IS-6, especially if you side scrape as much as I do. Pulling forward, I see the Freedom turned all the way around, so I put 1 shot into the backside of the Freedom, and then I start turning away from that other medium tank to take out this Panzersyphilis. So the Panzersyphilis is trying to back up and get my tank in front of his, but I say none of that. And Speedy is able to whip around and finish him off with his MT-25. Nice side shot on the ARL-44, knocking him down to 1 shot. So Speedy was able to swoop in and save the day for me there after I called on the mic. "Hey man, I need you to come in and just kill this Panzersyphilis for me really quickly." I notified him that both him and the ARL-44 were 1 shot, so he was able to swoop in and save the day for me, making this game a much more even 12-11 as opposed to the... Oh, what was it? I believe it was a 9-11 not too long ago. Now, I did say that Lele was in a Type 64 earlier. I apologize. He's actually in an MT-25. My mistake. So we see that there's still an enemy T-34, a very dangerous Tier 8 United States premium tank with a nasty 120mm gun. He can just punch me full of holes. So I decide, since they're on the cap anyways, and the IS-3 was set on fire, essentially resetting the cap altogether, I'm just going to rush this T-34 to take him out. But I still auto-lock on the IS-3 and just pull the trigger and say screw it, and the stars just aligned and allowed me to hit that IS-3 right in his vulnerable point, dealing significant damage to him. So that Speedy was able to finish him off on his next shot. T-34 pulls too far forward, exposing his hull to get a shot into me, so I blow past the T-34 and shoot him in the side of the hull for the second time, putting a shot into his hull, knowing that it's really not it really doesn't have very good hull armor. So I tried one more in the back of his turret, but I really didn't calculate that very well, and I simply bounced it off the backside of, the side plating of his turret that was turned at a very sharp angle to me. So we have essentially turned this game around from what looked like was going to be kind of a loss by attrition, as we were down a couple tanks and they had superior positioning over us, as well as people. We were pretty much surrounded in town. They were coming up behind us from the railroad tracks, so on and so forth. It just looked like we were going to have a bad time. I decided to mess with this AT-7 and load up an HE shell for him. Still did just under 200 damage with an HE shell into the side plating of the AT-7. That's when he turns all the way around. I figure, okay, damaging shot. Shot goes low into his tracks, only tracking him. And Speedy starts just pumping in full of shots. But at the last second, I'm able to steal the kill and piss off Lele, which is always a bonus. So that was a pretty good game. We were able to turn that situation around in the town quite quickly there. I could have very easily been punched full of holes by the leftover enemy tanks in the town there. Racking up 36-32 damage dealt. Brothers in Arms medal. All three of us were able to survive with 3 kills minimum. Also snatching another sniper medal in the IS-6, netting 1566 base XP. With 3 tanks destroyed, Fid and Lele both getting 4 tanks destroyed each. Lele getting 2587 damage in an MT-25. So those were a few extra games in the IS-6 that I wanted to share with you guys. I hope you enjoyed watching them and were able to learn how you can effectively play your IS-6 and do well in all sorts of different scenarios with this beast of a Tier 8 premium tank. Like I said, guys, if you have the gold, IS-6, totally worth the buy. Thanks for watching. As always, we'll see you next time. Have a good night.